Prophet Marshall Occurrence back at it. So this video is basically going to be about there has to be manipulation in order for Americans to work customer service on a low level. In order for you to understand this, you just got to understand the food chain of any country. This can apply to your country if you're outside the country. All my people that listening to me outside, outside the country. There has to be manipulation. Because who's going to just wake up and work at Wendy's? Who's going to aspire? The best question is, who's going to aspire to work at Wendy's? So then, on that level of customer service, perfect example, Wendy's. Who's just going to do it? Who's just going to wake up one day and say, yo, I want to work at Wendy's? When you understand the structure of society, someone has to play those positions. But who's willing to play those positions? Nobody. Nobody's willing, wholeheartedly willing, with a willing heart to play those positions. So how you get people, how you get a whole community? Let's just use Wendy's as an ongoing example. How you gonna have all these Americans work at Wendy's? Thousands and thousands of employees. If you provide vocations and if you provide jobs above that level of work, above that level of customer service, then who's going to do it? Who's going to go do something at Wendy's? If we had made a highway of vocations lower than Wendy's. See what I'm talking about, right? So then the higher ups of society have to manipulate. They have to manipulate in order for people to work lower levels. You say, well, okay, it could just happen. No, it's to make sure it happens, there has to be manipulation for people to work those levels of customer service. And that's the corruption in our community, that they're not going to provide jobs or highways, economical highways, workforce highways above that level of customer service, because somebody got to do it. Or at least they feel that way. Somebody has to do it. Guess who they chose to do it? Me and you. They chose me and you to do it. They chose me and you to do it. And that is still an aspect of not caring. That's an aspect of nonchalant about our lives. That's still an aspect of not caring about how you survive in our community. That's still a form of slavery. That's still a form of slavery, where I need people to work here for virtually free, basically free. See, like I've explained, there's a term that you would never hear in the political world. In the political world, there's certain terms you would never hear. There's more than one. But a term you would never hear Donald Trump talk about is a living wage. A living wage gives you the ability, by definition, here's the definition. It gives you the ability in 2 pay periods. This is the biggest money conversation. No disrespect to Master P, but you might have thought Master P had the biggest money conversation. No, you might have thought Jay-Z had the biggest money conversation because they got the money. Just because people got the money don't mean they have the biggest, most significant, highest caliber of money conversation in America. You know what the biggest money conversation is? A living wage. Because everybody can't be no entrepreneur. Won't y'all tell Master P, no disrespect, but won't y'all tell Master P that everybody can't be no entrepreneur pushing out chips, pushing out muffins and chips to the community. But everybody wants to work and make what they deserve to have. They want to work and make what they're worth. And if you look at it on a humanity scale, your worth, you know what your worth is? Let me tell you what your worth is. Your worth is, if I work hard, I should at least be able to get any of these jobs, not half of them. All of us should be able to get any of these jobs and be able to take care of rent, food, necessities, clothing, and a little bit of entertainment in less than 2 pay periods as far as rent and food and necessities. And like I like to add on to a living wage, a little bit entertainment, because every human needs a little bit of entertainment of some kind. You know, you break down what entertainment is for you. What you find to be entertainment. You need a little bit of that too, right? So a living wage, by definition, is enough money. Not any kind of money is a living wage. Money itself is not a living wage. It's a detailed amount. It's a financial definition of a certain amount of money. It's a financial definition of a certain amount of money. That's how you need to hear it. It's a certain financial detail. You see what I'm saying? It's a certain financial definition with a certain financial detail. It's a certain financial definition of a certain financial detail. This detail is a certain amount of money that allows you to pay for rent, food, and necessities within a reasonable amount of time. You can make $50,000 over 30 years, but it's not within a reasonable amount of time. You see what I'm saying? So it ain't just money. It's a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time. That's also a living wage. It's also a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time where you can pay for your rent, food, and necessities within 2 pay periods of a certain amount of time, 2 pay periods. It shouldn't take 3 pay periods, 4 pay periods, 12 pay periods for you to pay rent. See, this is why politicians don't talk about it. This is why. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. Because it forces all these big plants, these big corporations, these big workforces like Walmart to give every single worker, employee, a living wage, enough money within a certain amount of time. See why this is an important conversation? Because everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Let's not fool ourselves here. Let's not fool ourselves here. Let's stop talking in ideals. No disrespect to Master P, but you know, people, the like of people like that talk in ideals. I'm talking real ground level, real everyday life solutions for everybody. while being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. Can we agree on that? So you can say everybody can be an entrepreneur. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on. Let's stop being so nice to a fault. See, you're nice to a fault. Some people are not intelligent enough, whether they black, white, or whatever other color, Hispanic or Latino or whatever other color. They're not bright enough to do no entrepreneurship. Come on, let's be 100 about it. But you can work, right? Right. So the better idea for overall society is that entrepreneurship is not the blueprint for humanity. Come on, man. That goes back to what I'm saying. They're going to have somebody playing these lower level positions of customer service. How everybody going to be an entrepreneur? It's going to be manipulated. I guarantee you, everybody ain't going to be no entrepreneur. There will be manipulation. If they see all black people pursuing entrepreneurship, you don't think it's going to be manipulation? Hold that thought, hold that thought, hold that thought, hold that thought. If we all pursued entrepreneurship, you telling me these racist people won't manipulate Buddy so we can keep working at their little plants, Buddy? So then you have to admit that entrepreneurship is not for every and any person. It's not. No, it's not. It's not for every single person, bro. You got to understand this. And it goes back to my message. Like I said, you know, they want to, somebody has to play the slave in the community. That somebody has to play customer service, low level, key terms, low level customer service. How they going to, listen, if we all are entrepreneurs, who going to work at Wendy's? So then when they see, you see where I'm going with this, right? When they see that nobody's working at Wendy's, what you going to think they're going to do? They're going to manipulate. They're going to manipulate so people can still be working at Wendy's, bro. And see, that really is still slavery and the corruption of slavery. And there's going to be people, this is for high intelligent, listen, I'm going to be talking, moving forward, I'm going to be talking all higher psychology. It's time to stop dumbing down. It's not even these big conversations that's higher intellectuality. Higher intellectuality is when you start going into the thought process on a more sophisticated, developed level of many different things and all things. The thought process behind things, how things become what they are, why they are the way they are. This is higher psychology that on our side, we never even started to even ponder. This is how they manipulated us. We never even started thinking. We so dumbed down as a whole community that we don't even think on higher psychology. You don't even understand it as a subject of how people can do certain things for manipulative reasons. The thought process behind it. People teach you you're being paranoid. Because that's the gate that you got to get past. Oh, you're being a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're insinuating black and white. You're insinuating America's against us. Well, I'm insinuating what's real. Take it how you want to take it. I'm insinuating what's real and how most societies, even outside America, is set up. Somebody got to play the slave. Come on, think about it. Who gonna go out there and just work on fields? Who's going to do it if we all rich? So the plan is not, and this is where you still have conquerors, dictators, rulers, because the idea, and slave owners, because the idea is never for all of us to have bread, to feed our families. That's not the idea, and that's what I want you to think about. Ponder this. Let's ponder this. The idea is not, no, hold up. I want you to think on a higher psychology level. I want you to look at what actually is going on in all actuality. The idea is not for all of us to be entrepreneurs, for all of us to have money and bread, because somebody got to play these low-level customer service positions. at Subway, at McDonald's, at Wendy's, Burger King. Who gonna play them positions if we all entrepreneurs? We too busy entrepreneuring. We're too busy entrepreneuring. So who gonna play that position? Willingly. And you're an entrepreneur. Come on, man, listen. Now you see. Now you see what I'm talking about. Now see, if we was in a more caring community, you know, those positions will already have robots. And the only people that will come in there, like Burger King, is people that's paid on a higher level, getting a living wage to make sure the robots are working, make sure the facility is functioning. But just like people running around flipping around burgers, our technology is way beyond that already, and we know, and you know it, don't you? Don't you know somebody already can cook burgers? Don't you know robots can already cook burgers? Don't you know machines can already put out full sandwiches? You telling me in 2026 we can't make a full sandwich with a robot? But it can dance around and break dance and do the robot. The robot can do the robot. Hey, the robot, they got robots that can do the robot, right? You know what I'm saying? Robot can do the robot, bruh. But the robot can't make a burger. They're already hinting that that's what's going to happen. That ultimately computers are going to take over, right? It could have been took over if we had the right humanity. We could have been built technology in Burger King and McDonald's to make sandwiches, and the only people that really work there is people that are getting a living wage that runs the overall facility, and it don't take 10, 12 people to do it. This person gets paid a handsome wage because they run one store. They run one store. You're built like that to run this one store of robots. Okay? So it never was built for you to come out. It never was built for you, whether you black or white or whatever color you may be. This whole community. And when you understand that, you now you understand what society really is. It's still a plantation. And see, when I say that right there, you think I'm finna get off on something else, right? The usual. I'm finna be the usual suspect. No. I want you to think about things that you haven't been thinking about, which is somebody got to play these positions. Somebody got to be a slave and play low-level customer positions, low-level customer service position and deal with the customers as of 2026. And so now when you talk about race, the main people been doing it is me and you. We the main one, you see what I'm saying? We the main ones that they was racist about, hateful about, and they decided that, oh, well, you can be the one to play that position. They pulled white America out of all of that stuff, man. For the most part, man, I want you to look at it for what it is. They pulled most of white America out of low-level customer service. Let's ponder that. Let's ponder that. See, you so used to it, you don't think we can exist without it. That's the problem. If you realize how sophisticated the scientists of America are, how sophisticated the technology behind the scenes is, you would have no doubts that we could be way past low-level customer service jobs in America. We building everything else up but the workforce because they want somebody to still play the slave. See, what most people should have started fighting for is stop all this building. Stop all this building this and building that and putting all the greatest minds towards all these buildings and technology, because that's building up white America. And start building up the workforce to pull America out of low-level customer service at Wendy's, at McDonald's. If you black, you don't work there. I don't work at Checkers. Fast food. I was the grill dude, flipping burgers on the grill. I was the only one on the grill. My manager, drop me 20, Marcello. Okay, I dropped him 20. Time it, drop them down, time it, flip it. That's it. Sear it and all of that. I know about all of that, man. Working the line, working the burgers, putting the food on, putting the little cheese and onions and everything else on the burger. We done played them positions. And what I'm trying to show you is who your country really is. You might say, well, this ain't even really a timely message because it's almost over. Yeah, it is a timely message. Because you still halfway on their side. That's why it's a timely. See, if we had you all the way on our side, this would be over. So what's holding you back? Your lack of understanding on these people that you call Americans. Your lack of understanding. See, if we convinced you, we could get this done a lot quicker. So if you ain't getting nothing from this message, we can get the more I convince you of who they are and what they've been doing, right? Being this is one of the greatest countries in the world, they could have been, they can't compare and say, well, another country is this, another country that. No, we're talking about you. The place that you as Americans should have been beyond, where we could have had robots at Burger King and McDonald's and everybody was on a higher level of vocation long time ago, but they ain't want to spend the money. And you could say it's racism. They didn't want us to come to their neighborhoods. They still don't halfway want other races of people to come to their neighborhoods. That still is going on too. Because money was used to segregate the people. Money was used as if white people didn't want black people in their community, how they get them out? Oh, well, I'll just make you poor. You ain't gonna be able to get here no matter how hard you work. See, hard work does not guarantee money. Hard work physically does not mean, where you're using your body, does not mean you're going to ever be rich. Ask black people. I'm just keeping it 100. Ask us. You can work hard all your life and not be rich. An idea makes you rich. It's ideas that make you rich, not hard work. So we got to stop being cliche talking about, well, hard work will get you where you know. Hard work won't get you where you need to go. Hard work ain't gonna get you where you need to go. It's an idea. It's your information. It's your education that's gonna get you where you need to go. We got to stop being cliche in how we think, how we perceive things. Stop being cliche in how you perceive things. Ain't no way in the world. I can show you, look, I can show you people that retired from McDonald's on ground level customer service, mopping and everything like that. And you can go Google it, you can go find it on YouTube. I can show you people that worked their whole life at McDonald's. Now, if hard work promised success and money and riches, you know what I mean. I'm not going to the extreme. I'm not saying McDonald's, working hard at McDonald's is going to give you $1 billion, $1 million. But it's like we're so cliche in our perception, in our worldviews, that you'll say, yeah, you work hard, you'll get where you need to go. No, you won't. That's not no guarantee. In other words, you can't guarantee with hard work you would end up with success and money and a car and everything. No, not in America. Not here in the United States. You could listen in this post-slavery community. This post-slavery community, you could work hard even after slavery. You could work hard all your life and still retire from McDonald's. Still retire from McDonald's. So tell that guy that retired from McDonald's, well, hard work will get you where you need to go. You won't have to work here all your life. Well, he did. Why didn't he leave? Because he didn't have another idea. See, y'all don't want to hear that. You just want to pat people on the back and say, you working good, you working hard. Okay, that's good. But you see what I'm saying? What's going to get you to the next level? An idea. It's people that get money off of literally ideas. They get money from ideas. White people have been doing it. We so used to working physically, we're just now understanding as black people that we can be rich just from an idea. You ain't gotta do no work. You can sell your idea to somebody else, or you can work the idea yourself, or you can sell the idea. But ultimately, you know, it's going to be an idea that puts you ahead of the pack. Okay? It's not going to be hard work only. And that's how people make it seem. Oh, you work hard, nah. You shouldn't even insult the intelligence of black people talking about you can work hard and you can get where you need to go. That's foolishness. We worked hard from slavery all the way up to now and we ain't got nowhere. So the biggest conversation for all these people is not even entrepreneurship, because everybody ain't built to be no entrepreneur. Won't y'all tell Master P, everybody ain't built to be no entrepreneur? Won't y'all tell the rest of these financial moguls, everybody ain't built to be no entrepreneur? So then what? What for overall the density of the population of America? For this dense population, what do? You make a living wage, where if someone work, now, they should, that the reward of that, what I'm going to consider not on a simplistic level like Americans, what I'm going to consider is just because you're here applying yourself to our community, I can at least in return reward you with a living wage. Let's ponder that. Let's ponder the psychology of that. You work hard, what do I want to give you? See what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this, right? See how simplistic the mindset has been. But let's ponder the thought process behind it in higher psychology, right? If you work hard, glory to Yahweh, shouldn't my mindset be, you deserve to have a place to stay? If you work here, you deserve to have food on your table. You deserve to have clothes on your back. You deserve to have a little bit of entertainment to encourage you to come back. That's not the case. Now you see what I'm saying? That's not the case. You know what the case is? I'm gonna tell you what the case is. You know what the case is? You go and work at these jobs all across America, and on a higher psychology level, they do not care if you even have a place to stay. Oh, you want me to prove that? Besides fleeting emotions, fleeting feelings. See, we got to stop judging things on fleeting emotions and fleeting feelings. Cozy feelings. Nah. Your feelings ain't too cozy. Your feelings ain't too cozy. Your feelings ain't too cozy. Where you got me working and you're not considering that these wages is not enough for the cost of living in my city. Your feelings ain't too warm and fuzzy when you can't put food on your table with these jobs, and you not looking at that. You not looking at that. I can't put no food on my table. So why I'm gonna go by, well, we kind of together as black people and white people. We kind of together as Americans with black people, but you have not looked at the higher psychology. You have not updated. You have not reformed the higher psychology behind the workforce of America, to where if you work hard, I will give you a place to stay on your own. I will get you food on your table. without begging for food stamps. I will put clothes on your back without you going down to the shelters in the Salvation Army. I will do these things for you if you just work hard. If you work hard, I will do that for you. That's not the mentality. So you have to admit they have not updated beyond slavery. I don't care what nobody say. They still have not updated the higher psychology behind the workforce of America, because they have not given you a living wage. You know what they want us to do? I'm gonna tell you what they want us to do. They want us to live with our family. Like slave times, where slaves lived in a shack together. Oh, that ain't it. That's 7 out. That ain't what it is. Then why have for these folks living with their family and everybody working, but they living in one shack and one neighbor in one house? That's like slavery. They expect you to understand that, well, if you can't make enough money, you can't make a living wage, then won't you just go on back with your family? That's what other insinuation is it? Oh, work from the streets. They're insinuating you should just live with your family. All y'all live together and work together in the same house, and y'all pay and pull everything together. You see what I'm saying? One person should be able to, we shouldn't be having to pull together. One person should be able to make a living wage in this country, and you can't find me one politician that fought for it. Show me one politician that fought for a living wage, and they talking about they for black people. As a matter of fact, show me one pro-black person that's fighting for a living wage. No, not minimum wage. You got to keep up with the profit. Not minimum wage. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about minimum wage. I'm talking about a living wage. Two different definitions. You need to go study the cost of living, a minimum wage, and a living wage, and I guarantee you'll get all type of epiphanies. You get all type of epiphanies that cross your mind about how we've been treated in this country, where you're made to live with other people. That's the higher psychology behind it. What else could you do? So that's the insinuation. What else is there? What else is the thoughts? Because you know all them people working at Walmart don't got their own place. You know that. Man, you can go to Walmart, any Walmart across America. I guarantee you, especially in the black community, Walmart's in the black community, 40% to 60% of them are living with other relatives or other people in order to make ends meet. While white America is very familiar with a living wage. In fact, parents groom their children to only go after something that produces enough money. So if they didn't understand it in, by term and definition, the essence of it was still understood. The essence of it was still acted on, where we're going to get enough money. White family would say you need enough money to get your own place. See that part? See the different conversation that white people have? Oh, you need enough money to get food on your table, to get clothes on your back. In our community, guess what? We just glad to be working. See, in the black community, we just pat our family and friends on the back just for working. That's how bad it is. Oh, you got a job. That's good. White people don't do that. Oh, you got a job? Okay. Does it? Can you get your own place? I mean, this is friends even talking. Somebody might not even be staying with you. Oh, how's it pay? Can you get they might not use the term living wage. Can you get rent with that? Or they might notice you can't when they look at the minimum wage, when they look at the money you're being paid. Oh, well, you can't live on your own. You ain't got enough food. This is the kind of conversations white people gonna have. You ain't gonna have enough money to put food on your table. ultimately you ain't gonna be able to live on your own and stand on your own 2 feet with one job. So look, a living wage is a conversation that most politicians don't want to have, because it forced places like Walmart to pay everybody a living wage. So why would politicians blow up the game? You see what I'm saying? Why would they blow up the game? The game that they playing is they could work us under a living wage and have people work low levels of customer service, jobs that doesn't pay enough for you to live on your own, and a job that nobody would do if they had money. You ain't gonna work at Walmart. You ain't gonna work at Kmart. You ain't gonna work at Burger King. You ain't gonna work at Checkers. You ain't gonna work at none of these places, cash or carry. Down in Florida, the grocery stores, you know what I'm talking about? You ain't gonna work at none of them places if you could make enough money. You see what I'm saying? So there has to be manipulation. See, this is the higher conversation. This is the higher understanding. This is what's really, really, really going on. This is what you need to understand so that you can turn your back on this country and stop acting like they've been helping you the whole time, but really they haven't been helping you the whole time. We so used to slave-like positions that we think these people helping us by handing us a little food and helping us and giving us a little something together. And we living together, we living with other people, but you ain't getting a living wage. So won't y'all tell Jay-Z, won't y'all tell Master P, won't y'all tell all these people that stop talking about entrepreneurship like it's the only way to go, because everybody can't be no entrepreneur. Your auntie can't be no entrepreneur. She burnt out from working. She don't want to be no entrepreneur. That part. Your auntie just want to make enough money to live on her own. It's some people that just don't want to be bothered with entrepreneurship. What about that? What about people that don't want to be bothered with the psychology behind entrepreneurship? What about the people that don't want to be bothered with all that it takes to get to know people and be with people? They burnt out on America. Some black people burnt out on America. Let's talk about that. They don't even want to look at half of these people out here. What about them? They just want to duck their head down and just get money. You ain't never felt like that? I just want to go clock in and make money, bro. I don't want to know nobody. See, that's how it should be. The perfect workforce should be, man, if you don't really want to know nobody, you just want to work, right? Okay, we can give you a job where you can just work and clock in. Listen, man, we have to address, and I'm gonna do a video about this. We have to address higher psychology of why some people don't want to work, because they don't want to deal with people in America. That's the truth, and you don't want to hear it. I can show you people right now that's quitting a job in America because of a bad manager and bad employees. And it's easy to say, well, you should just be able to do it. But how many times you done gave up on a job because of employees or employers at your job, work site, and work environment? How many times you done quit a job because of bad managers and bad employees? I bet if you live long enough, you at least got a handful of people, a handful of jobs you gave up. Why? Because of bad managers and bad employees. And in your own discretion, even though you needed to work, even though you couldn't afford to lose the job, you still quit, didn't you? That's what I'm talking about. Even though you strong as they come, you don't fold, you good under pressure, all that stuff, you tough as they come, you still quit, didn't you? You still quit the job, didn't you? That's what I'm talking about, buddy. You live long enough, I guarantee you done quit some job, not because it was too hard, because of these crazy Americans. With all they crazy men, and listen, we do not acknowledge half the times the crazy mentality of all these Americans, that where you don't even want to work with these people. I can show you people that just want to work by themselves because they don't want to deal with no Americans. They don't even want to deal with them. They don't want to deal with none of them. And America doesn't have that avenue. So my point is, even with entrepreneurship, you got to deal with more crazy Americans. Some people don't want to deal with all these crazy people. So then what? She should just be able, your auntie should just be able to make a living wage and get enough money for a place to live, food, and her necessities, and some entertainment without having to go into entrepreneurship to live on another level of life, without having to go in entrepreneurship to avoid low-level customer service. I don't know nobody who signs up for that seriously as a grown man or woman. We do it as kids, yeah. As kids, it's different. You halfway don't even really realize you've been played with at your job as a kid. Half of these kids don't realize you've been mistreated, racism and everything, discrimination, everything, all types and forms of fashions of manipulation. You get a little bit older, bro. You know why you quit jobs? I'm gonna tell you why you quit. Because you understand more about people and humanity, especially how much you being paid and not being paid, and how people just playing in your face and all that, and the psychology that comes with the workforce of America. So with that being said, man, people should just be able to put their head down and make money, but you can't even do that. That's the true sign of seeing if somebody's lazy. You ain't got to deal with these people. You ain't got to deal with these people. You could just clock in, clock out, and you ain't got to deal with nobody. Now, if you got them type of opportunities, then you can say somebody lazy. Half the times, man, people don't want to deal with people. And we don't want to talk about it because we feel like that's just weak. That's weak that you can't deal with people. But how many times have you yourself quit a job because of people? You live long enough, man. Listen, you don't quit a job because of people, I'm telling you. You don't quit a job because of people. Okay, so then you can't look at, oh, well, you should just be able to do it. Really? I should just be able to do it. I should just be, what about you when you quit that job? What about you when that manager ran you off? We all done been through it. And it's something that we ain't addressed, is this higher psychology of the workforce, where, you work with certain people, man, you can't even bear it. It's like you can, but you can't. It's psychological. And psychological, man, can work wonders, miserable wonders on your psychology. So, the biggest problem is there is manipulation. There are people manipulating to keep us on a lower level of customer service in America. And that's gonna be with, I look at it like it's a whole lane, if you will, of manipulation, where we got to go into the culture of how these people think. We got to go into the culture of how they think. We got to go into their psychology. We got to go affect their psychology. We got to give them all this crazy music, all this crazy movies. We got to give you pitfalls, drugs, vices, and you see how bad. Now that's the punchline. In order to keep you on low customer service, they got to make you promiscuous with all these videos and all this sexuality in the community. So where you got kids, you got to run out and go get a job at 15, 16, 17, 18 because you had a kid too early. And you ain't going to be able to get no job at a higher level of vocation because you ain't made it to that higher level of education. So then you're going to run out and do anything, and you're going to get stuck in the rat race because you had kids too early, because you was influenced by promiscuous American culture. Now you're promiscuous. You practice promiscuity, not monogamy. You're not a monogamous person. You follow me? And so then that's a pitfall that will put you in low-level customer service, just being promiscuous in this country. And you telling me people with higher psychology don't understand that? Yes. I put all this gyrating around, percolating around, You know what I'm saying? You're going to get hot in the jeans. You're going to want to have some kids, and you're going to be on a low level of customer service. You start smoking weed, you're going to want to hang out with the homies all the time. You're going to have a lack of motivation, and you're going to end up at low level customer service. You're going to overdrink and end up in low level customer service. You're going to over indulge in the culture, and somehow we're going to find we've made pitfalls. That's the corruption. I truly believe that. I believe it's considered. I'm not saying it's the number one prime thing, you know, but I do believe that it is considered, and that still is corruption. Even if it's considered, that those things, this culture can be used to make these people end up in low-level customer service. Ultimately, your psychology has to be affected to end up at low-level customer service. And they got to manipulate money. Money is the other thing where we can't go to school, so you end up in low-level customer service. Back to money, getting a real living wage. Now you see why it's important. Because whether you go to college or not, college is another thing that's not for everybody. College is not for everybody. Everybody is not smart enough to go to college. Let's keep it, listen, let's keep it 100. And I'm going to do a video about this. Let's stop playing games and be 100. Everybody is not built intellectually to go to college. So then what do they do? What do the retarded people do? What do the slow people do? No, listen. We got slow people in the black community. We got special needs people in the black community. And they still have needs, don't they? You got people that are, you know, slow. They're slow, right? What they gonna do? They can't go to college. So then what? They should be able to use their work performance physically and get a living wage, which will take care of food, shelter, necessities, and a little bit of entertainment in 2 pay periods. Not 12,000 pay periods, where you got to save 12,000 pay periods. You should, glory to Yahweh, you should be able to pay for your rent within the first 2 pay periods of the month. It shouldn't be 3 pay periods, 4 or 5 pay periods. Well, your the person that's over your apartment place, the landlord has to wait for 5 pay periods. He got to wait for 5. He or she got to wait for 5 pay periods to get enough money for rent. That's not how it's supposed to be built. All I'm trying to show you to do is stop giving loyalty to this country like they taking care of us. You know what I'm saying? Because out of all other countries, they'll say this happened to every other country. But in America, they got too many resources for this to be happening. So they can't point to other countries when they talk about a living wage, and when we have these kind of conversations. It's too much money here for us to be working on low-level customer service, but it's manipulation. Somebody has to play the slave. And there has to be manipulation. There has to be. And the manipulation is the culture to give people all kind of pitfalls, drugs, money, drugs, sex, crime, thugging, all of that. Girls thugging out here too. And not getting a living wage. Not getting a college education. If you can't get a living wage, then you're going to work in low-level customer service. But if it wasn't there, then you wouldn't be working there. Does that make sense? So how can I get you there? Well, you ain't going to find jobs that's a living wage unless you got education. You ain't going to find a job like that unless you went to college. And see, that's the game. So then you're forced without education to go to low-level customer service jobs. That's manipulation. It should have been a better highway for black people to college. That should have been done. Black people should have been fighting for a living wage and a higher highway, so to speak, for college education. So it's manipulation, and that's what we got to understand. And if you ain't got nothing else from this, man, I want you to understand this is why you do not hold alliance with the Americans. This is why you do not act like they helping you and they did not give you a living wage. I want you to look up the definition of a living wage. Stop acting like they helping you. Stop acting like they there for you and your people. And they know exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a living wage. They know what I'm talking about. And they know that Walmart will not work as Walmart as it does if they pay everybody a living wage, because now the higher ups in Walmart can't live like they're living. They can't live like that. It's all greed. They want to live a certain way. They want to live like these rappers and singers. I'm talking about the hires up in Walmart. Yeah, they on the beach too. Yeah, they got Ferraris too. And to pay you a living wage, they wouldn't have all that lifestyle. See, that's the real reason why they ain't giving you a living wage in America. It's simple as this. Many of these people that could give you a living wage ain't giving it to you because they want to live a certain lifestyle. So whether it's racism or greed or whatever you may call it, the bottom line is they ain't on your side. Glory to Yahweh. They not on your side. Whether you say it's racism, whether you say it's greed, because you want the Ferrari on the beach, whatever it is. The bottom line is, man, whatever the reason it is, man, they got you working. It's manipulation and non-care or non-care. It's manipulation and or non-care for you to be working low-level customer service. So then you should turn your back on America today because of that. And we can end this all a lot sooner. It's a spiritual war going on. And you shouldn't even be on their side. You acting like they helping you and they never gave you a living wage as black people. You looking at all these rich, famous people and they ain't never gave you a living wage ever as a community. And they could have. What I want you to understand, they could have done a lot more for you. And the main thing they needed to do for you, is not all this entrepreneurship, because that don't cover all the black community. You needed a living wage. The rich black people is 20% of the black experience in the black community. So just looking at them, you got another 80% of people struggling and everything. People they don't even care about. They care about the rich people that's black. That's their own community. The famous and rich black people, pay attention to them on the videos. They are their own community. Even though they sound like they speaking to us, bro, they're in their own community, man. That's how you need to hear it. And that don't speak for the black community and what we experience. We don't experience nothing like that. Cooking in them good kitchens and all that stuff some of these famous black people doing. Okay, that's good for them. But that's 20% of the black community experience. Okay? So don't look to the famous black people to say, well, we got it going on over here. No, 20% that don't even know you and don't have no dealings with you got it going on over there. You, the other 80% of black people, man, they never even cared to give you a living wage. Enough money to pay your rent, enough money to get food, enough money to get clothes, enough money to get a little entertainment. They didn't even care about that. Why they act like they do? They care about these famous people. Okay, because they can fleece them like sheep, fleece them for their wool. Okay, that's what you need to hear. So for God's true people, salute. Over and out.